Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to be talking about a custom and less expensive version of the Uniden R1 called the Uniden R1 BBY. A number of you guys have asked me about the difference between the Uniden R1 BBY and a traditional R1 and why it costs less. And so in this video let's talk about the differences. Now in a nutshell, every single R1 is exactly the same. No matter what case it has, no matter what price point it's being sold for, all Uniden R1s have the same performance, the same features, the same filtering, the same everything. Now there are a couple little differences that some companies are making. Most R1s, they're just the, traditional R1. It looks like this. Matte black case retails for $2.99. You can buy it almost anywhere. So some companies actually want to have kind of a custom version of the detector. I did a video recently talking about the different colored versions of the R3 and explained how, different companies wanted a custom version of the detector, but they're all the same detector under the hood. And we've got similar stuff going on here with the R1. We've got the kind of silver version of the R1. Looks a little bit different. Bi-Dig and Beach Camera does this one, so you can see it's got a little bit of a different trim here on it. But otherwise, all the R1s look like this. Now, the R1 BBY, instead of retailing for $2.99 like a normal detector, it's supposed to retail for about $2.79. However, we're seeing it retail now for about $179 to $189. This was the price that we've been seeing since Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and for whatever reason, that price is actually continuing to remain the same for the past month or so. I don't know if that's going to continue forever or whatever, but it looks like it is more than just a Black Friday sale. And so let's talk a little bit about how they got to the lower price point and, well, I guess what the differences are compared to a normal R1. So in terms of the detector itself, again, the detector is the same, but all they've done is they've simplified or removed some of the accessories. With the R1 BBY, all it comes with besides the detector itself is the double suction cup mount and a simplified power-only power cable. Everything else, which we'll talk about here in just a second, all the other stuff is not included. And so that's really the only difference. Same detector, same everything, just simpler accessories. Now let's quickly talk about the different accessories that you're not going to be getting and maybe where you can get some of the other ones or maybe even some better options that are out there. So let's talk about that. So starting off, if you get the normal R1, it comes with a padded carrying case like this. So if you travel around, maybe through airports or from car to car or something, you get a case for your detector and mounts and cables and all that kind of stuff. But most people with the detector mounted in your car, you don't actually need that. Speaking of mounts, the R1 BBY comes with the double suction cup mount like this, which is actually the more popular of the two mounts for two reasons. Number one, here, let's go ahead and pop on the other mount that comes with the regular R1. It's this big kind of stickier single suction cup mount like this. And that clips onto the detector like this, and as you can see, it's going to be, well, a lot bigger and bulkier than the maybe double suction cup mount. Additionally, an issue that people are running into, maybe in sports cars, for example, is the adjustability of the mount here. You can just go and adjust the angle of the suction cup like this, but one of the issues people are running into is if your windshield, it's maybe steeped, it's raked very steeply, it doesn't actually allow you to go back far enough. So if your windshield is more than maybe a 45-degree angle or so, you can't actually bend it back any farther, and so your detector is going to be kind of pointed up in the air, which is not what you want. You want it mounted straight and level. And so most people, especially in sports cars, maybe you couldn't use this one or it's bigger and bulkier, and so most people actually just use the standard double suction cup mount that the R1 BBY comes with. And so yeah, you're not going to get this bigger, bulkier suction cup, but for most people, honestly, no big loss. Something else you can consider is if you want to hang the detector underneath your rear view mirror with the blend mount, that mount is kind of pricey. I do have a discount code down in the video description, but you could take the money that you're saving with the R1 BBY and then put it towards a blend mount and still be less than the cost of a regular R1 itself. So there's definitely better things I think that you could do with the money. Now, moving on to the power cables, the normal R1 comes with the smart power cable like this. So it plugs into your cigarette lighter, powers your detector. Cool. However, it also provides some additional functionality. You've got a remote mute button right here, which is really handy because well, the R1 doesn't come with a GPS chip. That's the big difference between the R1 and the R3. Same platform, same performance and all that kind of stuff. But without the GPS chip, it's going to be falsing every time you pass a false alert. So like a speed sign or a shopping center or a drugstore with an automatic door opener. The R3, you can teach it with the double press of the mute button that those are false alerts, and so the detector will stay quiet in the future. With the R1, you can't do that. And so every time you pass it, you're going to have to go and press the mute button. If the detector is mounted somewhere kind of inconvenient and tough to reach, it can be kind of nice to have a secondary mute button right here on the power cable so that you can press it right there. There's also little things like an alert LED that lights up and flashes when you get an alert, as well as a USB port to charge your phone, all on one port here. So if you maybe don't need that functionality, the R1 BBY, it comes with a power-only power cable. It's not a smart cord with any of these extra buttons or features. For myself, that's not a big deal because I typically don't use any of the cigarette lighter power cords unless I'm maybe traveling or something. I typically actually hardwire my detectors and have a cable that plugs down into the fuse box for power, and then it maybe runs along the headliner and plugs into the detector. This way I don't have any sort of ugly power cable hanging down my dash, and it also keeps my cigarette lighter free for other devices. You can get a hardwire cable for like 10 bucks. You might need a couple other things like a fuse tap and whatnot. I've got tutorials both on my website and video versions, and I'll link you to those down in the video description. There's also options doing things like tapping into your rear view mirror for power with a mirror tap. You can also hardwire it, and Uniden also makes for $30 a special hardwire cable that has the remote mute button and alert LED. So if you like the remote mute button capabilities and you want it hardwired, that's an option you can do as well. Now, if you really want the smart cigarette lighter version, you can actually go and buy this for 25 bucks. And so if your detector doesn't come with the cable, but you really want it, it's really easy to just go pick up separately. So it's not a huge deal. I don't know if it really makes sense to get the normal R1 itself when you can so easily get the R1 BBY, and you'd save a bunch of cash and you could put it towards a different power cable or an upgraded mount, or just pocket the cash, you know? So for most people, honestly, I think the R1 BBY, it's the way to go. Again, there's two different colored versions of the R1, but I prefer the matte black one just to be a little bit sleeker and more stealth as opposed to the silver one. So for those of you guys looking to save some cash, yeah, just go for the R1 BBY. Again, it's the exact same R1. They all have the same performance features, filtering, everything. They just package them a little bit differently and throw in different accessories and whatnot. But if the price point stays as low as it has been, again, $179 to $189 is what we're seeing. It may go back up to $279. I have no idea what the kind of idea is for the future. But yeah, at this price point, I mean, you're not going to see anything better that performs or filters out false alerts as well as the R1 BBY. So for less than $200, you're getting like seriously the longest range detection you can get. Like, that's kind of an amazing deal. So for those of you guys wondering what the difference was between the R1 BBY, kind of the Best Buy exclusive version, well, that's it. They removed some of the accessories and they've simplified the power cable, and then you get the lower price. So awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have found this helpful. Again, I'll have links down in the video description to all the different detectors and mounts and cables and all the different things, videos that we talked about. That'll all be down there. So awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of 5 Minute Fridays. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys in the next video.